Hello, and welcome to a calorically dense episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel, and I have lost 150 pounds.
Whoa.
And with me today is my...
Husband.
I
thought you were going to say another word after.
I did. You know what? It's surprising. But,
yeah.
Donald Weigel is with me. Donald, why are you here?
Partner,
loser.
fellow loser. Loser.
It's all on how you say it.
Your family told you I was a loser, and now they turned out to be right. I've lost a little over 100 pounds.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So hi and welcome. And,
hi.
Last week, or last episode, we talked to you about the mentalist game of
this is the second of a 3-part series that we're doing about getting started. We get asked all the time, like, what do I do? You know, I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I don't know how to get going.
We have people who have been listening to this for 60 plus episodes who still don't know where to start.
Yes, this is episode 67.
And some people don't know where to start. So whether or not this is your first rodeo or your 29th rodeo, we are here to talk a little bit about how we have gone about losing this monumental amount of weight.
Monumental, everyone. Yeah, we encourage you to binge listen to all of our episodes. Listen to them twice, 3 times even. But if you don't have time for that, 3 episodes are designed to kind of skim the surface, so to speak, and point you in the right direction. These are sort of compass episodes to get you going on your weight loss journey, adventure. I prefer adventure. Some people prefer journey.
I prefer journey.
So we'll say journventure.
What do you prefer?
We'd like to hear about it.
So before we get started, and this is for our longtime listeners, I feel like we get comments all the time. We have amazing posts on iTunes about how inspiring we are. We've got like,
we're so inspiring.
You're inspiring. You're funny. But as many funny and inspiring comments that we get, we also get like, Donald and Katherine, you guys have the best relationship. Donald and Katherine, you've inspired me to leave my spouse because they're obviously not as awesome as your guys' relationship.
Yeah, your guys' yes.
I'm just quoting the internet.
Yeah.
And I just, for as much as we reveal about our nature in losing weight and how much of a struggle this is for us, like, I hope that you know that we struggle in our relationship too. And I know in the podcast we come across as having a fantastic relationship, but
wow, this is news to me.
I feel like there is a secret shame that our marriage has harbored for like how many years? 21 years?
I feel like I'm being ambushed right now.
Okay.
I did not know this was happening.
I just want people to know that for as awesome as we seem on camera, because we're on camera now, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, our blog is going great.
Right.
Some people think we have a blog, and we just say yes. So I know you think we have a great marriage, but for 20 plus years, I have lived in conditions that I have had to fight for myself. Donald, you might not know this, and I know we don't really talk about it, but I have not had a coffee maker in like 8 years.
At least 8 years.
So Donald has been on team tea drinker.
Yeah.
For as long as I have known him.
No, I've never liked coffee my whole life.
I
don't like coffee flavored stuff, like coffee flavored ice cream, like chocolate covered espresso beans.
There was a point at which our marriage was so fragile,
right,
that like I got rid of my coffee maker because
I hated the smell of it.
He was so repulsed,
right,
by the scent of it.
I really did not know this conversation was going to happen on microphone, by the way, truly.
I just feel like people need to know what conditions I've been living under.
You want people to think I'm a monster.
I just want them to know all of you, as I know all of you, and I have looked beyond it.
Are we doing this? Are we going to reveal all of each other?
This is enough. I just want to start.
We're just going to do this.
We're just going to start out. We don't have time for that. We got lots of information to share.
Right.
But I just want you all to know how I feel like I'm making this about me. Donald has kept me under conditions that are very strict for many years. And very, very recently, Donald has been working nights, and he was very tired.
Yeah,
I'm telling my
tired.
version of the story. And Donald, why don't you tell people what you did? You were very tired, and you needed something.
Did we not tell this already on the podcast?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Just talk about it.
All right. It was late at night. 1 in the morning or something like that. I was still at work, and I didn't want. I needed caffeine. I wanted caffeine. I needed caffeine. I was struggling to stay awake, and
more than constant comment could give him.
Right, and I didn't want. I had already had like 2 cups of tea, and I didn't. I thought about having a soda. I wanted a Mountain Dew, but I was like, no, I don't want all that sugar. I don't want all those calories, especially not at 1 in the morning.
So what to do?
So our craft service guy has this espresso maker. It's like these little pods that you put in this espresso maker on set. And I was like, well, okay, espresso is small, and so I could like drink one.
Choke it down.
I could shoot one, shoot one. I could do it as a shot. I could wait for it to cool, and I could do it as a shot and get it down and choke it down quickly. So
but then something happened.
I made one, and I what?
Do you remember when the Grinch's heart grew 40 sizes?
I do.
For Whoville?
Yeah.
So imagine that.
It was 2 sizes too small, and it grew 3 sizes.
So Donald, you took a little sippo of that espresso,
and I really enjoyed it. I was like, wait a minute, this is actually good.
Okay, this is the part where we're going to get our people to do the record scratch sound.
Yeah.
Donald is suddenly a zealot about coffee.
Yeah, it's been 3 or 4 weeks since that first espresso, and now suddenly I'm like coffee guy.
He is coffee guy.
So she's known me for over 20 years as the guy who doesn't like coffee.
Disdain.
And now suddenly...
Disdain.
Like, so much so that I just bought an espresso machine.
And that is not our product of the week. We're going to skip the product of the week. But I just want to tell you that anything is possible.
Yeah.
If weight loss is possible at our age...
I am going to be 50 later this year, and I have suddenly become a coffee drinker.
He is a coffee snob. Like,
whoa, snob.
You are a coffee snob now. And so to tie this all back, one, we have very mostly superficial problems in our relationship. We have just crossed this giant barrier. I feel like it's brought us closer. I'm very skeptical, though, that he's like this new interloper. He's a sojourner in the world of coffee, and I've been here for decades alone.
I'm like a recent convert to the cult.
Alone.
And now I'm like...
It's his first day at college. He got all the gear.
Yeah.
He's all
my first
in.
day at school, I have the sweatshirt, I have the banner, I have
got
the hat.
The tattoo. He's got it like... He had the side of his head shaved in with the logo of the school. So... I just want to let you know.
I got my like no coffee, no worky mug.
He's all in. And he takes it black too, like his soul. So I think we've digressed far enough. If you've lasted this long, thank you so much. But I have lasted...
So the whole point of this, I believe, other than to make me look like a monster, is that anything is possible at any age.
If we can lose 150 pounds for me, 100 pounds for Donald.
Yeah.
If I can manage a relationship for 20 plus years, divided like the wall between the Berlins.
With somebody who didn't drink coffee that whole time.
We have torn down the wall.
Yeah.
And so we've made it happen. And now our marriage is perfect.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that was wrong.
That was
so
it.
Now you know the whole story.
Now you can say,
of
must
us.
be nice. Must be nice.
It is nice. I came home the other day and it smelled like coffee in here. And I was like, is that what it smells like when you smell coffee in a place? So now you know about us. Now that's all we have time for in this episode.
So next week, find us on Twitter at We Only Look.
Now we're going to talk about the actual thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so if you're getting started and remembering that anything is possible, we're going to talk about
like
food.
Staying on topic.
We're going to get down to brass tacks.
We're into brass tacks now.
We're going to talk about food and getting started and how to eat. And I wanted to start out by saying I truly believe that there is no one single plan. There's no magic bullet. There's no one-size-fits-all plan that is going to work for everyone. We're going to talk about what has worked for us and the tips and tricks that have gotten us down 100 plus pounds, and we've now each maintained it for over a year. Our weight loss. But we know that other people out there, you're going to listen to some of these things, and you're going to know that it's not for you. But I would like you to keep an open mind and maybe consider that you might be wrong about some of these things. And something sounds crazy, maybe just give it a try.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Well, and I think too, if you are listening to this, you have probably been on a diet before. You have probably gone on extreme diets, and we have done all of those things for many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
And, but there might be a rarefied group of people who maybe have just put on weight recently and who never really had to worry about their metabolism. Must be nice. But like Donald recently at work came across a gentleman who was like, what do I do? Like, I've never...
Two different people came up to me and essentially said, I don't know how to get started. And, I mentioned counting calories, and neither of them had ever done that. They had no idea how much food they were eating in a day. And that is where I started. Yeah.
So we're going to kind of talk about the process that we went through, maybe augment it a little bit. I think Donald and I actually went into our weight loss in different ways. When I started, I could not fit into my clothing, and I had sort of an urgency to immediately start losing weight because I didn't have clothes that fit me.
Yeah, and I had gotten a diabetes diagnosis, and I had an urgency that I didn't want to go blind or have a leg cut off.
I couldn't fit into jeans. I couldn't have a leg, which is more important.
Yeah, but my doctor looked me in the eye and said, if you don't do something, this is what's going to happen to you.
Fun times.
Yeah.
But so when I started, and you can go back to our early episodes to get the full scoop on me, but when I started, I had done calorie counting before. I had also done Weight Watchers for many years, so I was used to tracking the food that I was eating.
Yeah,
and so that's something too that Donald has done too, where it wasn't like,
yeah, I started and stopped Weight Watchers many times, and one of the best things about Weight Watchers was that it taught me to write everything down and to weigh and measure things.
Well, and I think there are maybe three kinds of people. There are freakos who just eat a mindful amount of food and don't really think about it. This is not the episode for you.
No, no, I'm not. I can't relate to those people.
Well, and two, if you're starting out, at least for me, I was never just at a certain weight. I was going up the scale or going down the scale. And so there are people who are gaining weight, which was my preferred method of weight gain.
Yeah.
Was consistently gaining. Or
my preferred method of gaining weight was to gain weight consistently.
No, but your weight can do three things. It can go up slowly or quickly over time.
Yeah.
You can maintain your weight, which is a thing that some people do.
Right.
Or you can lose weight. And depending on what stage you're in and what you're ready for, instead of thinking about losing weight, you can just try to maintain your weight or figure out where you're going.
Yeah.
And for me, I was at a point where I was just steadily gaining weight. And so you can stop the bleeding by just stopping the gaining. So maintaining by not gaining, or you can lose weight. And so for me, because I wanted to fit back into my clothes, I needed to start losing weight. Donald didn't know where he was. He didn't know how many calories he was getting.
I knew that I needed to lose weight. And, I had been walking around with this mindset of, I'm not eating any more than most people are. I don't see anybody else eating any more than me. And yet I'm the one who's got the diabetes diagnosis. Like, woe is me. I'm that special snowflake who has the world's worst metabolism. And I didn't really know. I wasn't tracking. I wasn't figuring out how much more I was eating than somebody else. And, when I first got the diagnosis and realized that I needed to lose weight, my first thought was that I was going to have to get a personal trainer, that I was going to have to go to a gym 6 days a week, that I was going to immediately have to cut down to 1,200 calories a day. and I was miserable.
Well, and that was the kind of thing that we did in the past, was these extreme measures.
Yeah.
And the more boring your weight loss can be, the less of a montage it can be, like, the better it is. And I know that sounds really boring, but boring is good. And
just to be frank, like, it is going to be work. It is definitely work. It is not going to be fun. It's not easy, but making it as painless as possible and making your diet, and I use that in air quotes, making it your diet not a diet, but a lifestyle change, a way of eating for the rest of your life is, in my opinion, the best way to do this forever. Like, doing diets that cut out entire categories of foods and doing diets that are designed for you to lose the weight super fast, I think in the long run almost can't work. And there are probably people out there that it works for, but in the majority of people, like, depriving yourself so strongly eventually leads to, that sort of rebellion where you just fed up and you have to just eat and eat and eat. At least for me, as somebody with a binge eating disorder and with an emotional eating disorder, I know for me, doing those things is not a long-term sustainable option.
Well, and to think, to make an analogy, because that's what we like to do on this podcast.
Yes.
Is if food is a budget, food is a, weekly, monthly, daily budget. And we in the past, or people who put everything on credit cards.
Right.
Just put it on credit,
Yeah, we'll figure it out down the road.
And you pay the price with interest for things that you put on credit. And I spent very many years eating on credit. I would just eat a big breakfast, a big lunch, a big dinner, and then be shocked that I was up on the scale. And we are asking you to look at your food intake as a budget that you put for yourself. If you are spending out of control, if you can't afford to pay your bills, you sit down with a spreadsheet and you figure out how much you're spending.
Yeah.
You figure out how much your rent is, how much your insurance is, your car payments, and then you figure out what's left. And that is basically what we do with calories.
Yeah. And so in order to get started, rather than, Catherine said this magical thing to me, there is no finish line. And jumping right into this 1,200 calorie a day diet with, 6 days a week exercise was so overwhelming to me. She was like, why don't you just take a walk? And so in the spirit of that, what I did was I spent a week. In my case, it was a week. You could take 2 weeks, whatever is comfortable for you.
You could take 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. Just figuring out what I was eating, not putting any judgment on it, not changing anything, just getting in the habit of tracking what I was eating. And so I had realized that I was eating over 4,000 calories a day, which was a shock to me. I didn't think I was eating more than the average person was. And, as somebody who has dieted before and has tracked my food before, I had only ever done it when I was really trying to reduce my calories. I hadn't really ever seen what I was doing when I just ate whatever I wanted.
Well, and tying into that, people think they need to go into high deficit mode immediately. And if you're 250 pounds like I was when I started this, going down to 1,000 calorie diet, which is something that a trainer had put me on before, was suddenly okay, eat 10 almonds and have 1 protein shake and cry a lot, and that will burn extra calories. And in this last time journey that I did, I started eating as many calories as I could while still staying under budget. Yeah. And for us, it is calories in versus how many calories you burn. And there's lots of differing opinions on the quality of calories, macros, and very complicated metrics. And you can spend years researching the perfect plan and the perfect way to go about doing things, and people who clean out their cupboards and live these artificial lives that aren't their real, authentic, true life selves. And we decided this time to just be ourselves, eat the food that we normally eat, not some crazy, like I haven't made a recipe in 5 years.
Yeah.
I wasn't 300 pounds because of a recipe that I was missing. It was the volume of food that I was eating. And so for me, and we've talked about this before, I started out, I had a Fitbit, and I had a Fitbit app that tracked calories. There's a calorie wizard on my Fitbit that says, do you want to gain weight, lose weight, or maintain your weight?
I am the calorie wizard. I will magically make your weight go away.
But going back to what I said, you can maintain your weight, you can gain weight, or you can lose weight. And I was on a trajectory of gaining, and I needed to stop doing the gaining of the weight. So
Yes.
I decided to go with a calorie deficit. And at 250 pounds, my calorie deficit to lose a pound a week was a 500 calorie deficit. I was still getting like 2,000 calories a day to lose weight.
Yeah.
Which is not what super extreme diet groups tell you to do. They tell you 1,100 calories a day, 1,200 calories a day.
No, and that's not the same as eating whatever you want, but it is certainly not a starvation diet either.
No, and it's like heating a big house. I was a much bigger house back then, and could eat a lot more calories and still lose weight.
Yeah, and I can't quote the science off the top of my head right now, but I am a firm believer after all these years of doing this that trying to eat as many calories as I can while still losing weight is really the way to go. I really believe, at least for me, when I go on, when I've done in the past and gone down to 1,200, 1,400 calories in a day, that my body starts holding on to everything, and I find it even harder to lose. And I feel like maintaining sort of an upper level of a deficit keeps my body into a phase of trying to lose the weight. Now, again, I don't have the science to back me up that that's really the case, but that's the way it has worked well for me.
Go to Bill Nye if you want the science on this, but we're just telling you what worked for us in our 40s when it is unlikely, people think that it's unlikely to lose weight. So, but for me, and if you're just starting out, 1 pound of weight loss is represented by 3,500 calories. In a week, that's about a 500 calorie deficit per day based on what you're burning.
That is math.
It is math. And losing slowly meant that I could eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, have a pint of Ben and Jerry's, or have a pint of Ben and Jerry's every night, and budget it into my day because it was important for me. Just like cable is important for us because Game of Thrones is coming out. So
yes,
that's in the budget.
Indeed, it is.
So losing it slowly means that there's less pain and less restriction.
Yeah, and I did it a little differently than Catherine. I decided that, I was up over 4,000 calories. I decided to sort of gently step my calories back, and I went down to, I believe it was 3,500 to start. And it might have been 33, but anyway, the point is I still was eating a pretty healthy amount of food. And I did that for a week or two, and I actually lost a little bit doing that. And then I stepped it back to 3,000, and then 2,800, and then 25. But this was over a period of months I did this. And my plan essentially was to, anytime that the scale didn't move for 3 straight weeks, I dropped my calories a little bit more. And there were periods where it definitely did that. And eventually, I ended up down at 2,000 calories a day. And that's essentially where I've stayed this whole time. And it's really a workable amount of food for me.
So if you are a person who is just starting out on the calorie side and you haven't done this before, don't get overwhelmed by macros or, it's too much work to track calories. I have heard people before say, like, don't you feel like you're in a prison tracking calories? Like, don't you want your, free and wild life to continue? Being free with calories and just eating whatever I wanted got me to 300 pounds.
Yeah.
That's where not tracking got me. That's where not, putting everything on credit got me. I now am free to make choices based on my calories. I can spend them however I want in a day. And, I go over sometimes, and it's not the end of the world. Before, I would quit when I felt like I wasn't complying with Weight Watchers or with calorie tracking. But eating more and losing more slowly doesn't make me want to cry all the time.
Yeah, and I eat at least one treat and usually a couple every single day. And I plan it into my calories, and I make sure that it's at a particular time of day that works for me. But I eat foods that I really, truly enjoy at least once every day. Now, for the first year I did this, when I was trying to get my diabetes under control, I did end up cutting out sugar and flour and all those things. But I did that for the first year, and then I slowly worked those things back in. And I was also kind of afraid of eating sugar for a while, and had to really work myself into it. And that's going to be something that you have to, a choice that you have to make for yourself.
Well, and two, going back to sort of the idea of tracking, when I started tracking day one, I was angry. I was resentful. Nothing in life was fair. Why should I have to do this? It's going to be too hard. And
I was resentful of all of it.
Yeah. And guess what? Too frickin' bad.
Yeah.
Like, too bad. Call the ambulance.
Yeah. There's no fair police that are going to be like, oh, it's not fair that you should have to track all of that. I will wave my magic wand, the Wizard of Calories, and make it so you don't have to count anything.
Yeah, like, a dude who can eat a whole bag of chips every day and he doesn't gain any weight. Boo-hoo. Like, that is not your problem. That is not your situation.
No.
For me, not tracking had a very high price to pay. And for me, the first week of tracking when I did this, there are apps you can track on paper, you can track on... there are many different calculators. We actually did an episode called The Wizard of Ounce.
Yes,
OZ.
Wizard of OZ, which is short for ounces, because we're very clever.
Episode 42, where you can take a deep dive into how to measure and track your food. And there are many different calculators. I love the Fitbit app. It gives me real-time live based on my activity level and how many calories I can eat. And
there's also MyFitnessPal, which I don't use, but some people like.
Well, and just as an example, using my Fitbit app, I was able to eat 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day and lose. MyFitnessPal, I just signed up for it yesterday to see, based on my weight, what I could eat.
Yeah.
It was telling me to eat 1,400 calories a day. And
that's too little.
No freaking way. Like, I want more food. So I prefer the Fitbit app.
So check out episode 42 if you want a deep dive, but into weighing and measuring and tracking. But the essential tools for that are get a food scale. I will put some links to some food scales that we like in the show notes. Get some measuring cups if you don't already have them, and some measuring spoons. And an important component of it is don't eyeball things. I used to eyeball mayonnaise and realized that I was eating about triple to quadruple what I thought I was. So stop eyeballing things is an important component of this.
Yeah. And be okay with the first week of tracking being a pain. It feeling like a terrible, terrible burden. And that is just your id brain rejecting the idea of having rules put in place. And I just knew that I had to get through the first week, and then it would get easier. And guess what? It did. And guess what? I'm down 100 pounds.
It's just the natural part of my day now. It's just a habit that is in place that I do all the time, every day.
Well, and I too, now that I am at goal, I am doing everything the same now that I did day one.
Oh, yeah.
That I when I was losing weight. Like, I didn't suddenly get to a point where it didn't matter anymore. It's not like my metabolism is amazing now and I can eat that bag of chips just like Jimmy in the office. I still track every day, and that is a small price to pay for my weight loss and my continued weight loss. I have been maintaining for almost 2 years now, but getting through that first week of measuring and tracking, and you find out that you actually probably eat the same foods
all the time. Yeah, at least I do.
And once you start tracking them, the online trackers keep a database of all of your most frequently eaten foods and your favorite foods. So once you kind of get it down, like you probably have the same 2 breakfasts every day. I used to eat 2 breakfasts every day.
More interesting and less boring than we are.
But we're creatures of habit. It's not like we're making frittatas one day and
Fitbit keeps track of your most frequent foods. Like the app has most of the things that I eat all the time right on the front page of the app, so that I don't even have to look for them.
Yeah. So once you start tracking an average week, an average 2 weeks, once you're in it, it takes me just a couple of minutes a day to track my food. It's not a big deal. Yeah. And the more you reject it and the more you feel like a victim to it, the harder it's going to be. And it is just like putting on a seatbelt or brushing your teeth. Like it is just something that you do, and it helps you stay alive and have minty fresh breath. Wait, what? I'm mixing my metaphors.
And the point at the beginning is not to aim for perfection. Like goodness knows I am not perfect. But the point is to aim for consistency, to set a benchmark and to get close to it all the time. Like I don't literally hit 2,000 calories exactly. Some days it's 1,957. Sometimes it's, 2,084. Like it's a benchmark that I aim for every day. But the point is to develop it as a habit, to be consistent and try and hit your benchmark every day, or at least get close to it.
Well, and going back to the Wizard of Ounce episode, if you listen to that, we give a lot of examples of how to estimate your food. If you go out to lunch and you don't know how many calories you're getting, you can go into the tracker and just estimate like, okay, I just had vegetable lasagna. There's a generic vegetable lasagna, put that in there. If you get too obsessed with perfection, you're going to get discouraged. But it's putting that benchmark in there, putting in that bookmark of like, okay, well, I had vegetable lasagna today. I'm estimating 600 calories, and you move on. It's not about like, well, how do I know if it was a wheat noodle or a rice noodle or whatever?
Especially when you're out at restaurants.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But you eat most of the same foods all of the time. Once you actually start looking at the amount of calories in an item, you might also make different choices. If you have 200 calories budgeted and you see that a single cookie is 200 calories, or you can have a breakfast burrito for 200 calories, you might go, you know what, that's more bang for my buck. Go with the more calorically satisfying option, because spending on a budget, spending wisely.
Yeah, if you think of it with the continuing the money analogy.
Yeah, and we have an episode, Pump Up the Volume. Ready?
Pump up the volume.
Episode 18, if you go back and listen to that, we talk about getting more food bang for your buck, adding high-volume vegetables, low-calorie vegetables to make it more satisfying.
Yeah, things like, Trader Joe's makes this, guilt reduced mac and cheese that is lower calorie, and I like adding cauliflower to that, which cauliflower is virtually calorie free, and it really mixes in well with the cheese, and it becomes a lot of food.
Yeah, and also making it easy to make good choices at home. We are a family of 3 in our house. We eat very different foods. Our daughter can moderate her junk food. Must be nice. We actually have an episode.
It's very odd. She won't finish. She'll have an ice cream or something, and she'll just eat what she wants of it and leave the rest.
I don't know what is wrong with her. We haven't found the right.
No, that is not us.
No, that is not us. So anyway, keeping your home as a safe space. Making sure that you're not keeping foods in the house that you simply can't control yourself around. I've talked about my situation with hummus many times on this podcast, but
and don't bring the devil home with you, which was another Weight Watchers thing that we gathered.
Yeah,
the devil in this case is hummus.
Yes. So I was literally eating about 1,000 calories of hummus every night before dinner. And that was, and in terms of me starting this last time journey, that was a huge, I know for a fact, once I actually looked at the tub of hummus and saw how many calories were in it, it's healthy. It's nutritious.
Yeah. And for me, I could have giant tubs of hummus in the house and I don't really care.
Yeah. But
I like it, but it's not a trigger food for me.
So I, in the last 3 years, have maybe had hummus twice, in public, in a public place, being watched by other people, because I cannot moderate myself around that yet. So making sure that you're not bringing giant trigger foods home with you.
Yeah, and again, I abstained from sugar basically for a year because I, A, was trying to control diabetes, and B, thought that I could not control myself, and I eventually gently brought those things back in, and now I have mini Snickers bars and things in the house that I eat as a treat, and because they're single serving, I'm able to control myself. We have an episode of this show, it's episode number 5, Abstaining versus Moderating, Battle of the Century, in which we go into deep dive about, you have to decide for yourself whether or not you can have some of these things in your diet, or whether you have to completely cut them out because they lead to you binging and lead to you going off of your plan.
Well, and two, we don't agree with the idea of cleaning out your entire closet or your entire refrigerator and eating a bank of foods that aren't typically in your diet. This isn't a meal plan. These are the 5 things that you should eat. But we do have episode number 9, The Convenience of Convenience, where we talk about making it easy for yourself to make healthful choices.
Yeah.
If you keep your apples in the bottom of the crisper, in the back behind a bag of okra, you're probably not going to just grab an apple to enjoy. But having them washed and ready on the counter might be a way for you to better enjoy them. So the convenience of convenience really has made a difference in what I'm doing.
Yeah, and keep your, likewise, keep your treats, make them harder to get to. Keep them in a container. Like I mentioned.
And by container, I mean a padlocked room, which I do not have the access key to.
I keep my mini Snickers bars in the bottom drawer in the refrigerator inside a container with a screw top lid on it, so that it's not, I'm not constantly just seeing them and wanting to, pop one in my mouth.
It's not the candy bowl at work.
Right.
But Donald, I know you've got some suggestions and tips and tricks. We've been talking a long time, but now we're going to give you some actual tips of how to get yourself going.
Well, yeah, one of the things that I have found for me is eat a lot of protein. And I'm not saying don't eat carbs, but protein, for me, fills me up. It makes me feel fuller. It's usually more bang for my calorie buck, and it makes me feel longer. Full longer. Makes me feel longer. Makes me feel full longer.
And for me, and again, it's not like a counting macros thing, but it's about being a student of yourself and seeing what is actually satisfying to you. Like Donald said, if I have a piece of toast, I want 5 pieces of toast.
Right.
If I have a tablespoon of hummus, I want 10 tablespoons of hummus. However, if I have a hard-boiled egg or some ham and cheese without bread, I am satisfied, and it does not trigger additional hunger. There are foods that I know I can keep them in my plan, but not first thing in the morning. I save my heavier carbs, whether I have pasta or rice or potatoes, until the very end of the day. Because if I start with oatmeal, people are like, oh, overnight oatmeal.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking like that. You need a lozenge.
I love that voice.
But having oatmeal in the morning, I tried it a few weeks ago. I was like, people have oatmeal. It's healthful. I ate terribly the rest of the day because I was starving 15 minutes afterward. So really being aware of how food makes you feel after you eat it, whether you feel super snacky or super satisfied, that all matters.
And that leads me back to pump up the volume. I don't know if we mentioned it earlier, but episode 18 of this show was called Pump Up the Volume. And it was basically about eating more of those lower calorie foods to fill you up, which I know sounds like it's obvious, but really thinking about I'm going to fill myself up with broccoli, cauliflower, with fruit, and then being able to save some calories later because you've been satisfied longer, save some calories for later for those treats that you want. And I also have, for me, I don't think Catherine pays attention to this, but I have come up with a rule for myself where I judge whether a food is, whether I'm getting bang for my buck, so to speak. And I look at the label, and if it's about 1 calorie per gram of weight, then I know. Catherine's giving me a look right now.
I'm of the people, and I'm getting the like, oh no, he's getting very specific. But this is in the Wizard of Ounce episode.
You know, like there are these frozen burritos. Amy's makes one that are roughly, you know, it's 200 grams for the burrito, and it's roughly 200 calories for it. And I know that that is good bang for my buck. And I know that vegetables are even better bang for my buck than that. And most fruits, like I can eat 150 grams of strawberries for about 70 calories, and I know that is a good bang for my buck.
Well, and I think for me, it is about making conscious choices each day about how I'm going to indulge. Not every single meal has to be a party. Like I would get a bagel or croissants, plural, in the morning, and then go out for a big lunch with my coworkers, and then get takeout for dinner, and wonder why I was 300 pounds. Making a choice each day about how you are going to indulge is really big. Like Donald had an experience recently. I'll change the specifics, but someone who like had an all-you-can-eat buffet for lunch, and then also after that had, a make-your-own chili bar thing with whatever. And, like, you don't need 2 giant indulgences in a day. You don't need, the build-your-own crepe Suzette, Nutella bar in the morning.
And I know this isn't the mindset episode, but there will be more opportunities for treats. Like the scarcity
Nothing's
mindset.
Going anywhere.
Yeah. Like I work in a little treat every day. And, because I do that, I feel like it leads to many fewer binges on my part.
Yeah. And if you, I don't know, we have like 40,000 examples and tips and tricks, but like if you're going out for fast food, get the burger, don't get the fries. If you get the milkshake, don't get the fries. Like make a choice, because you don't have to get, the super indulgent super size on everything. If you're getting the entree, don't get the dessert. Get the appetizer, but don't get the dessert. Like make some choices, because not making choices has gotten you where you are today. Like you don't have to make everything this, but it was free. Like the boss brought in free, nacho bar or whatever. Like you don't have to make everything a free party. Like you are a grown up and you can make decisions about how you're going to spend your calories, just like how you spend a budget.
Yes. Some other tips and tricks. This is from the Catherine Weigel bag of tricks.
Oh.
Eat off of smaller plates.
That's been huge.
Yeah, it's all a mental game. Again, not the mindset episode, but this is, I believe, practical advice. Like Catherine has purchased over the last few years all of these very nice but small plates. And when I put my food on it, it psychologically feels like I've got a lot more than if I put a little bit of food on some giant plate, then it feels like I'm depriving myself.
Yeah, and if you go out, like I said, no supersizing. Get the tall at Starbucks instead of the venti. Like, go small, because you don't actually need that amount of volume for the satisfaction.
And smaller spoons.
Small spoons.
We did an episode where our product of the week was these little Demitasse spoons, which is just a fancy word meaning tiny spoon. And we use that to eat like our Halo Top at night. Halo Top is this lower calorie ice cream, and it takes longer to eat it and makes it more satisfying. And again, it's kind of a mental trick, but it works.
Yeah, and like for me, honestly, looking at calorie counts on menus was really sobering. Like an average, Cheesecake Factory lunch is like 1,200 to 1,700 calories, which is what I would do every single day.
Yeah.
When I'd go out to work go to lunch with my work chums, and deciding, making conscious efforts about how much you go out to eat, that you don't need to tank up every day for every single meal, I think is really important. Once you get used to your budget and how much you can allot for each meal, like I prefer to eat a lot more in the evening. So I eat less in the daytime because I like that nighttime kind of snacking in front of the TV thing. So I eat a smaller amount for my breakfast and lunch and then save up for dinner. So making some choices. What time are you hungriest? When do you need that extra bit of kick of fuel?
Yeah, that has been huge for me. I mean, sometimes I know some people in the morning, they want to eat a lot of things for breakfast. They want to eat a bigger meal for breakfast and it keeps them satisfied longer. I discovered that I'm the opposite. If I start eating early in the morning, then I don't want to stop. So I have, over time, I started eating like breakfast basically as late as possible to the point where now I just skip breakfast. And this is where I know I lose a lot of people, but I'm now at a point where I tend not to eat anything at all in a day until about 2 in the afternoon. And I know that is dramatic and shocking to a lot of people. And I'm not saying you should jump right to there. But for me, I found over time that I am better able to control myself if I have more calories left for later in the day. So I wait until 2 o'clock to start eating, and it has really helped me.
Well, and I know people too who have tried that, given our suggestion, and then they do not do very well with that. So all of this is about being a student.
Oh, yeah, this isn't for everybody.
No, but it's all about being a student of yourself. When are you at your hungriest? Are you the kind of person who wakes up hungry, or are you the kind of person who isn't hungry until lunchtime? Do you need, for your insulin balance, do you need to eat, carbs for breakfast, or are you fine with protein? It is an experiment. And I think being, one episode that we did was Better Off Fed, being flexible with your plan. There is no one right way, depending on the season, like the literal season, winter, summer. There are going to be different foods that you're interested in, whether it's hot or cold out, determines how much water you drink every day. If you want something warm and savory or light and refreshing, being okay with seeing this all as an experiment and moving forward and seeing what is satisfying to you, seeing what triggers you. It is still something that I'm learning now. It is not, a one size fits all.
Yeah, I change my plan all the time, even after all of this and even after reaching my goal weight. We did a deep dive on emotional eating, too. I'm segueing. And episode 38, Let Cheez-Its Take the Wheel, about emotional eating. And I've tried to, one of the things I do is try and take the emotions out of it, try and take my decision making out of it when I'm in the moment, when I'm stressed, just realizing that I do eat when I'm stressed as an excuse. And so one of the things I do is try and pre-plan my calories for the day. And I also eat on a schedule. Like I said, I don't eat anything until 2 o'clock. Then I make sure that I have a reasonable snack at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, on a schedule so that I can't just be at any random time eating what I want. But if you want more on that, check out episode 38 of this show.
Yeah, and I don't know how many more tips and tricks Donald has. How many more tips and tricks do you have?
I think one.
One? You want to give your final tip, and then I'll bring it on home.
You're going to bring it on home. Just one other thing. All of this, we did brush on this, but we've got an episode 35. You can't fight math, and I understand the notion to be like, this isn't fair. I shouldn't have to track my calories. I shouldn't have to, go through all of this work. But whether you want to or not, whether you feel like, things are fair or not, like, the math is the math. Like, whether you count calories that you're eating or not, your body is still...
I'm not going to track that.
You're right. I'm not going to track that. I'm not going to count it. Well, your body still is going to feel the effects of it. So episode 35, you can't fight math, if you want to deep dive into that subject.
Yeah, because all of this is about being honest with yourself, honest about your excuses, which we talked about in the last episode, being honest about what triggers you, what satisfies you, and not looking at at it as being fair or unfair, but just math is really critical. And I think on a final point, which I would like to punctuate, is there is no perfect time. There is not a point in your life where suddenly the world is going to slow down, your job is going to slow down, your family stresses are going to slow down, where suddenly it's the perfect season, the perfect day, when the kids are out of school, when you finally have finished your degree, when work settles down, when family stress settles down. None of that life is not going to stop to make the perfect red carpet experience for you tracking your calories and for practicing self-care. Your family is going to take as much as you give them. Your work is going to take as much as you give them.
Yep.
And I use that as an excuse for decades because I didn't think I had the time or the energy, or I didn't have the perfect plan, or I couldn't afford a gym. I couldn't afford a trainer, couldn't afford a meal plan. We have an episode 33, which is 365 surprises. You are going to be hit with Taco Tuesdays. You're going to be hit with Bagel Fridays. You're going to be hit with work banquets. You're going to be hit with travel.
Family's going to come to town. Friends are going to come to town.
The pipe is going to break, and you're going to have to call the plumber, and you're going to get a flat tire, and woe is me. That is going to keep happening. And life isn't about the simple plan with the simple job and the simple, heat and serve meal 24/7 that's going to get you to a goal weight. Your goal weight is going to happen despite all of the stresses of life that are going to keep coming your way. We are not losing weight in a vacuum. We are losing weight and practicing self-care despite the BS that comes our way every day.
Whoa, watch your language.
Whoa. Should I re-record?
No.
Okay.
That was a joke. You said BS.
I had a teacher in what was it, 10th grade. I wrote a paper and he wrote on it BS. I was like, it's not BS. And he's like, no, I mean, be specific. And I'm like, really, Mr. Mr. Fletcher,
funny.
Really be specific? I think he was calling me out. But life is going to keep coming. And stress is going to keep coming. And this isn't about the perfect everything. This is about eating food you actually like, food that meets your current lifestyle, not some perfect version of yourself that has no encumbrances and no stresses. This is about doing the work anyway. Donald works a crazy, super long work schedule with a banquet of food at his beck and call.
All the time, free food, all day,
beignet
available.
Trucks, people throwing beignets into the crowd.
Yeah, that actually happened. One of the actors bought us a beignet truck last week.
And to keep going despite the free food at work, despite the candy bowl at work, despite driving past the 7-Eleven every day, despite McDonald's indulgences and your kids' food. This is about taking responsibility for yourself and making a better life for yourself and pushing past every impulse to self-soothe with food. If we can do it, you can do it. If Donald, at his wizened age, can start liking coffee.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
The universe is open to us.
At this late stage of the game, my wizened or decrepit age.
I just wanted to use the word wizened.
Yeah, no, it's good. If I'm able to do this, then really anybody can. Like, I am an emotional eater. I am a compulsive eater. I have many eating disorders. And I was able to get this together. You can too. And I know that you can. And
this isn't about being perfect. This isn't about flubbing and then starting next month or next season or when school gets out. This is about every day making a choice to be better than the day before, to stop and make choices before you put food in your mouth, tracking your calories, deciding how you're going to spend your budget every day, imperfectly, but making better choices to point you in the right direction, to point you in the direction of better fitting clothes, reduce your diabetes numbers, better mobility. There's so many positives.
Speaking of making better choices, thank you for making the better choice for listening to this episode.
If you are still listening, Kudos to you. This is our
longest
400th
episode.
This is like the Gandhi episode where they actually have an intermission in the middle of the episode.
Yeah, this has easily become our longest episode. So thank you for sticking with us. But we had a lot to say about this, and we really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for leaving reviews on iTunes. That really helps us out. If you could take a moment to go to iTunes, even if that's not your method of listening to this, and just rate us and give us a quick review. That really helps us out. We're just about to hit 200 reviews.
Are you going to be the 200th?
Yeah,
no, you want to be.
You. It could be you. So please do that. Subscribe to us wherever you found this, and you can also visit us on our website, weonlylookthin.com.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter at weonlylookthin.
You can email us if you have some questions. We always reply. weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
We received a great email recently from a fun listener who said we are fun and classy.
Wow. Fun, yes. Classy, no.
I don't know. I think aside from saying BS, be specific a few minutes ago, we're a classy, family-friendly show.
Family-friendly, sure. Classy, I don't get.
Whatever. If you think we're classy, let us know. And thank you for trusting us with your journey. This can be, one of the reasons we started this was because we wanted to stay on track. But the idea that we can help other people not see this as such a freaking bummer.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, I said, man, I am just dropping the bombs.
I know. Friggin' and BS in the same episode.
Oh, my heck.
iTunes is going to take away our family-friendly label.
Yeah, 2 Fs.
Yeah.
But that's not what the Fs are for. But thank you so much for listening and for following us along on this journey, because it really doesn't end. And just be kind to yourself and make yourself proud by making some choices that you can just be satisfied with. So if you're still trying to figure out a calorie deficit versus a calorie surplus, just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.